Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Tim Hankewich from Orchestra Iowa. Welcome.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And we are actually kind of in the back half of the 100th season.
The downhill run, actually, and with the great weather recently, it's like, I can get used to this now. The major panic of the season, most of it seems to be past us now. Yeah.
But a big one, I know that you've been focused on this as one of the tent poles of the centennial season because we get to salute one of our favorite sons.
Absolutely. It's not just the content of the program, but also the location of the program. So this particular concert is all about rhythm, and being a host on a jazz radio show, you probably know that's probably kind of important to you.
You know,
Maybe.
We are into rhythm around here. Yes, it is. It's the rhythm method.
That's right. So basically, the all three pieces really center around rhythm. The first being Dansant Number 2 by Arturo Marquez, which is so cool. It is so sexy. It is so fun. And it's the piece that really launched Gustavo Dudamel's career, the great conductor from Los Angeles, who is now going to New York. And I guarantee it is so fun that the people in the audience will want to actually get up and start dancing. I mean, it's a really festive way to start a program, and it's so deliciously great. And then, of course, Cedar Rapids' favorite son, Michael Daugherty. This is our 100th anniversary, and in this season, I could not fathom doing a piece without him. I mean, he's one of the leading living American composers alive. So, I mean, it's amazing that he's from here, and so it's only right that we salute his work.
I don't think that those of us who live here have a true grasp of just how big a deal Mike Daugherty is in the classical and symphonic world.
Right. I think
he is literally a superstar.
He is, and I think a lot of people in our area have that sort of Iowa syndrome. He must be okay. Well, no, he's beyond that. He really is a big deal, and so it's great to have him and to do this piece, a percussion concerto of his that I've never done before. I can't recall ever doing a percussion concerto.
And I know we're bringing in a fabulous guest artist for this, but before we go there, I have to retell my favorite Tim Hankewich story because it does illustrate just how big a person in classical music Michael Daugherty is.
Right.
So turn the clock back almost 20 years.
When I had hair, yes.
Tim Hankewich freshly arrived in Cedar Rapids. It was your first or second season.
I know where you're going.
And you came out to Jazz Under the Stars because your friend and colleague Ed Carr is our sound engineer, and you'd heard about it, and we're hanging out there, and I'm talking to you, and all of a sudden I see your gaze kind of go over my shoulder, and and I could tell you've just checked out of our conversation, which actually happens a lot.
Happens a lot, actually.
And so I kind of pause, and you look at me, and you say, "I'm sorry, this is really weird. That looks like Michael Daugherty," and the reverence in which you said this, it was that reserved by someone I've always wanted to meet and never thought I would be able to.
Correct. I had no idea he was from here.
And I looked over and I said, didn't you know he's from here? Would you like to meet him?
Yeah. And we have become fast friends because of that. So thank you for introducing us.
Well, you would have it would have happened regardless. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But I think that, since his family around here, is not the relationship that he has with you and the orchestra also keeps him coming back to our place.
I admire him because he has not forgotten where he's from. His roots to this area are so strong. And even though his dad has passed away and much of his family has since moved on, he still comes here regularly just to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I admire that a great deal.
Well, and now we'll get to hear, those of us who haven't heard that many, you perform him fairly regularly, but here's a new piece.
Yep.
And tell me about the guest artist we're bringing in, because she is a big deal.
She is. Well, she will be. Actually, Britton René Collins. She's a young female African-American phenom. I think she's going to be a trailblazer in her career. I believe in her, and I really think she is the future and embodies and exactly what this industry needs. And she is this amazing percussionist, and she also happened to study in Michigan. at the same university as Michael. And I didn't know that. It was completely serendipitous, actually. I followed her career independently, and it was just a happy coincidence, like, oh, they're in the same town together. So it seemed very logical that we should put the two together, and you're going to hear just fireworks. And just visually speaking, I mean, having this entire stage filled with percussion instruments, it's just a feast for the eyes as well as the ears.
So we're not just talking about some timpanis.
No, oh my goodness. We're talking marimba, we're talking snare drum, we're talking, the entire kitchen sink of small percussion as well as vibraphones. I mean, it really gives her a workout, and it's just a really colorful piece that I adore.
So it sounds like is this going to be a little bit of a feature for the rest of the percussion section?
There is orchestral percussion, but mostly in just a supportive role. It really is all about her. And one thing that I like about Michael, and we were talking about this off air, is that he shares something in common with us, and that we are both sci-fi nerds, particularly Star Trek. And the last movement of this concerto is called Vulcan's Forge. And so there is a not so subtle reference to the music of Star Trek at the climax at the very end of this piece. And it is awesome. It's so fun. You just smile from ear to ear because he manages to get the message across without violating anybody's copyright.
And that's no small thing.
That's no small
If you
feat,
didn't think he was good at what he did,
Yeah.
that should give you an indication of how he's able to do that.
But it's a real audience pleaser. So that, in combination with the Marquez dansant, which is so fun and so
And
rhythmic.
as if that weren't enough,
Right.
Just a little unknown piece called the Firebird Suite.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's such a great orchestral tour de force. And a little bit, if we were to turn the clock back almost 100 years or a little bit more, in 1916, 17, when the piece was written, Stravinsky turned rhythm on its head. I mean, what he was doing rhythmically was so far out of the universe of what everyone else was doing. It really revolutionized the state of the art, and was the reason why he is arguably one of the most, if not the most, significant composer of the 20th century. So each of these pieces approaches rhythm in a very unique way. And of course, we have Mexican dance and dansant, and we also have ballet dance in the Firebird. So there are a lot of threads together, but it really is just about cool sounding music that has a lot of rhythm attached to it.
Saturday night at the Paramount.
Yes.
And Sunday afternoon at Hankewich.
At 2:00. And this is the other thing. This is what's significant about us this season. So many of our concerts, in fact, the remainder of our Masterwork concerts are also being performed at Hankewich. And that's a great opportunity for us, not only to build audiences more in Iowa City, but also to perform in that great hall that has a great acoustics in itself. It's a real treat, and for us as an organization and for the musicians to have that opportunity. So I just relish the idea of being able to perform this piece or this concert in more than one venue.
Well, and being able to perform in, I would argue, the two best stages in the state. If not the Midwest.
How lucky are we? I mean, if flashback 15 years ago when we were crying in our beer because of the flood, and we had nothing. We had nothing, and now we have this embarrassment of riches, and we are taking full advantage of that.
Oh, what a choice you'll have to make. Do I want to watch this at the Paramount, which is my favorite place in the whole world, or do I want to watch it at Hankewich, which is also awesome? Do both. Go to both shows.
Door number 3, I recommend. Do both. We'll see you at both ones. Yeah.
So if people want tickets, all the tickets, though, are they all the tickets through your usual?
Yes,
or,
at orchestraiowa.org.
For both, even the Hankewich show.
Yeah, artsiowa.com. Yes, through our website. Yeah.
It's Percussive Fire with Orchestra Iowa continuing to celebrate the 100th anniversary. Again, tickets at artsiowa.com. Well, all I can say, Tim, is just have fun.
Sure will. Can't wait.
It's going to be a blast. You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture or your favorite podcast player. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.